Hi, I'm Katrina Baxter, bringing you the latest hot topics we've been talking here on MediaWrites in the past month. I'll be talking to you about the new EU copyright directive, the role AI is playing in content moderating, and esports. The hotly debated EU copyright directive has finally been published in the official journal. The controversial Article 13, now Article 17 in the final text, managed to steal quite a lot of the limelight in the media, leaving other as important provisions such as the transparency obligations and the bestseller rights somewhat neglected. Will in our IP group has been looking into this further. Will, what is the purpose behind these rights?
So, these rights stem from a recognition that individual creators of content, so the authors and performers, tend to be in a weaker contractual negotiating position when it comes to negotiating contracts for the exploitation of their rights, and they therefore need additional legal protection. Put another way, it's felt that there's a need to reset the balance between the creators of content on the one hand and the businesses who exploit and profit from that content on the other.
And so what do these provisions really entail?
So the two go together. The transparency obligation requires authors and performers to be provided with up-to-date, relevant and comprehensive information about the revenues that are generated from the exploitation of their rights. Then, armed with that information, if they feel that the remuneration they originally received is disproportionately low compared to the revenues subsequently generated, they can come back and ask for more money.
Getting your content to go viral is like winning the lottery for advertisers, but not all content is good content. Technology giants are coming under increased pressure to stop the proliferation of harmful and illegal content on their platforms, which was recently demonstrated with the new Online Harms White Paper. These companies are turning to new technologies such as AI to moderate their content online, and Esme has been looking into this further. Esme, do you think that AI is going to replace the need for human content moderators?
No, they've both got important but distinct roles to play. So whilst AI tools help tech companies to deal with the volume of content and the speed at which it's shared online, people are still needed to make difficult content moderation decisions.
And what do you think are the key challenges with using AI in content moderating?
There's a number of challenges. So one example is that AI tools learn how to detect certain types of content by analysing training data, and that can often lead to a knowledge gap of rarer types of content. Another challenge is that the context is often very important to content moderation decisions, and AI tools can struggle to understand human concepts like sarcasm or irony. Because tech platforms are often global, there's also other challenges associated with that. So, for example, there will be numerous legal frameworks that apply to that one platform, and often there's cultural differences in terms of what's considered harmful or not.
That's a really good point, and what is harmful is something the Online Harms White Paper has really struggled to define. Check out our Online Harms White Paper mini-series on MediaWrites that we launched last week. The esports industry is a very large and maturing industry, attracting an audience in the hundreds of millions. But there is no clear-cut regulatory structure. Will Denner in our commercial team is an expert in esports. Will, where do you see the direction of travel in the esports industry with regards to regulation?
That's a good question. I think regulation in the industry is currently quite patchy, but some of the larger, more well-established franchise leagues have adopted structures that would be pretty similar to fans of traditional sports. There has been clamour from some areas of the industry to establish an overarching regulator for esports. I think we here would query whether that's possible because, among other reasons, it would require the publishers who own the IP and the relevant games to rescind quality of control that they might not be willing to do. But what is possible is cross-industry regulation in certain specialist areas, such as anti-corruption, anti-doping. That's very possible. You might also see the establishment of an arbitral body for esports disputes that would serve a function much like the Court of Arbitration for Sport does in traditional sports.
That's really interesting, and esports content is now basically everywhere, driven largely by streaming, and a lot of traditional sports are having to accustom to the new streaming world. So what's happening in the broadcasting market in esports?
So streaming really was at the heart of the growth of esports. The ability for players, fans, teams to freely and openly share their esports content is what really helped to establish a community around esports and the whole esports ecosystem. But what's interesting is that having got so used to seeing esports content everywhere and for free, whether esports looks to mimic traditional sports in putting content perhaps behind a paywall or trying to make fans pay for it, and whether we see esports media rights values increase exponentially as a result and more competition in the market, or whether actually the view is taken that really there's more value in keeping this content open to everyone without charge.
That's a really good point. And if you want to see how the industry is evolving in esports, please check out our articles on MediaWrites.law. That's all for now, but head over to MediaWrites.law to check out our latest articles.